Welcome back to the PEWPEW Zone. This is your host, Mike. Today, I'll talk about what in my opinion are some handgun cartridges that may soon go the way of the dodo. Handgun cartridges have come in a wide variety over the years, and there are numerous reasons why cartridges go into oblivion. Some cartridges have had a long existence, some have had short but wonderful runs, and some were destined from their creation to spend lonely lives. This list includes handgun cartridges that were never as good as they claimed to be and ones that were lousy ideas from the start. There are enthusiasts who care about each and every one of them, but it makes no difference. A little amount of affection won't cut it with these cartridges. These rounds are currently, or soon will be, as dead as it gets, and are presented now in order of weakest to most powerful. Number 6. The 25 Auto. John Browning is without a doubt the best gun designer we have had till today. He was also the inventor of the 45 Auto and the 50 BMG in addition to the 1911 pistol, the 1894 Winchester rifle, and the Browning Auto 5 shotgun. But John Browning gave us something in 1905, the 25 Auto, that we probably would have been better off without. By any standard, its 45 grain bullet traveling at 800 feet per second is weak. In contrast, a 22 Magnum is more powerful. There was an old documented report about a man who shot another guy in the torso with a full magazine of 25 auto ammunition. The guy who was shot then walked to his truck, grabbed a shovel, and beat his shooter to death with that same shovel. The lesson here is, you would be better off with a shovel than a 25 auto. It wasn't a good idea more than 100 years ago, and it still wouldn't be a good idea today. One would have to be very, very optimistic to rely on a 25 auto for self-defense. Number 5. The 32 ACP. When the 32 ACP was first launched in 1899, it was much appreciated, and over the years it may have been used in more handgun models than any other cartridge. The tiny 32 ACP used to be well liked, especially in Europe, where its sole claim to fame was being the bullet that ended Adolf Hitler's life. However, the 380 ACP, which was released in 1908, started to put the 32 ACP's gradual demise in motion. It still lingers, but no one appears to be mindful of it. Even the Walther PPK, which was James Bond's officially issued sidearm in his first film assignment, cannot make the 32 ACP into anything resembling a respectable self-defense round. Today, its fate is sealed, and its proverbial casket is nearly buried. 007 has gone through other handguns and cartridges, and the rest of the world is following his lead. Number 4. The 32 H&R Magnum. The 32 H&R Magnum was a superb addition to Ruger's Single 6 when it was introduced in 1982. Without having to make the revolver larger, it provided more power than the 22 LR and 22 Magnum. Sadly, the 32 H&R Magnum's power boost was not as significant as it should have been, as was later evidenced by the 327 Federal Magnum. Although the 32 H&R Magnum did gain a cult-like following, it has faced a lot of challenges since its inception. The typical 85 grain 32 H&R Magnum load has a muzzle velocity of around 1100 FPS and provides 220 foot-pounds of energy. In contrast, a 100 grain 327 Federal Magnum load will produce 500 foot-pounds of energy and travel at a velocity of around 1500 FPS. Even though ammunition for the fire-breathing 327 Federal Magnum in 32 H&R Magnum provides excellent light recoiling practice loads, it was never sufficient enough to be a real Magnum on its own. Perhaps 32 Extra Long would have been a better nickname for it, since it is based on the 32 Smith Wesson Long. Simply put, the 32 H&R Magnum just doesn't have enough to keep the attention of handgun hunters. Number 3. The 45 Gap. Designed to be the ultimate carry cartridge, the 45 Gap has become the cartridge gun owners hardly care about. According to Gun Lore, a group of Glock engineers and some intelligent spearmen went out drinking one night in 2002. They developed the 45 Glock Auto Pistol, or GAP cartridge, after deciding that they should create their own combat pistol round to permanently cement the history of Glock. The cartridge uses a tiny pistol primer and has the same length as a 9mm Luger round. However, it is loaded at the same pressure, 23,000 psi, and with the same bullets as 45 auto plus P ammo. The goal was to deliver 45 auto performance from a pistol with a grip size similar to that of a 9mm. A few police department chiefs were reportedly persuaded to use the new cartridge by Glock, but these enchantments didn't last long. Even though the Glock pistols that chambered in it worked just fine, those models were the Glock models 37, 38, and 39, few gun owners and shooters cared, and even fewer remembered. Ironically, the gap that the 45 gap was supposed to fill was eventually filled in by the 40 Smith & Wesson. Number 2. 40 Smith & Wesson. The FBI was considering switching the 9mm for another duty cartridge after a shooting in Miami in 1986. The slick Miami Vice character, Crockett, who carried a Bren 10, may have had some effect on the FBI, but they ultimately decided on the 10mm and a new service handgun, the Smith & Wesson Model 1076. As a result of problems with the Model 1076, the Bureau ultimately chose the 40 Smith & Wesson, which is essentially a 10mm short. This new 40 caliber cartridge could fire quickly like a 45 auto and use high-capacity magazines like a 9mm. The cartridge quickly caught the attention of law enforcement, and soon, concealed carriers and police officers nationwide had the perfect compromise cartridge. Sadly, nothing endures forever. The 40 was difficult for shooters to get good hits with, while the 9mm's terminal performance improved thanks to years of bullet development. The FBI tried again with the cartridge that led them down in 1986, thereby killing the 40 Smith & Wesson. In 2015, ironically, the 10mm, the cartridge's parent, is regaining popularity as the 40 Smith & Wesson sinks into obscurity. The once popular 40 Smith & Wesson is fading into the background thanks to the FBI, which has killed it. Number 1. The 41 Magnum. The 41 Magnum pistol cartridge was designed to be the ultimate hunting round when it was first introduced in 1964. It was also believed that police officers who couldn't tolerate the heavy 44 Magnum recoil would prefer the 41 Magnum to the 357 Magnum. The 41 Magnum was developed with support from the legendary Elmer Keith, and it was intended to fill the void between the 357 and 44 Magnums. It never ever attained any widespread appeal, despite the fact that some police departments adopted it and a small number of hunters appeared to appreciate it. It would seem that the 41 Magnum is on its way out due to the prevalence of 10mm pistols and revolvers, which give excellent performance with considerably reduced recoil. In the end, it turned out that the 41 Magnum became the compromise no one wanted, because the 357 Magnum is easier to shoot while the 44 Magnum hits harder. This list is not exhaustive, and there may be other types and calibers of firearms that should be considered dying or nearly dead. And that's our video for today. If you think there are other cartridges that will soon become obsolete, let me know by commenting down below. Please click the like, share, and subscribe buttons, and I'll see you in the next video.